Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to NCS Buzz, NLCS Week 1, Day number 3. My name is Rapid. With me is Dominic Caster, Seda Romer. How you doing?
I am doing pretty fantastic, Rapid. It's good to be with you again. It's been a long time.
That's true, but I can't stay away from you for too long. So it's good to be back here tonight
Absolutely.
for the still continuing the very first week of NLCS. And things have been a little bit rough with some of the spectator issues. So I do want to let you guys know about that coming into the day's games. But apparently things are getting better. So should have no more issues, or at least very few issues, coming to tonight's matchup between San Jose State University and San Jose State University. It's a battle of their two teams. Used to be A and B. Now they're just blue and gold. So we'll see which color is better in tonight's game.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be seeing these guys go head to head in the NLCS Season 1 back during the early spring of this year. San Jose State's B team was able to take first place in the regular season, giving them first seed into the playoffs. And during the playoffs, they switched off their B team for the A team, which went all the way to the grand finals. I believe they only dropped one match during the grand finals. So seeing these two phenomenal teams go head to head, teams that have been playing and practicing with each other over the course of this entire 6 months in down season, I have no idea what to expect. We've got two very high level teams, pretty much challenger and beyond, who live together.
Yeah, that's what's really impressive about this is that these guys are like they're no joke. They have about as close as you can come to a professional League of Legends training setup as any competitive collegiate team out there in North America. So it's exciting to get to watch these guys. And like you said, the previous quote unquote A team for UCS or for SJSU. I keep wanting to say UCSD because we were talking about them earlier. For SJSU, the team on the purple side tonight. They were the team that took it all the way to the grand finals of Riot's North American Collegiate Championships and just fell barely short in their final match there. But they got second place, and it's nothing to forget what the adage is, shake a stick at, I believe. Not sure why we're shaking sticks, but let's talk about picks and bans coming in here. Oriana, Thresh, and Aurelia banned out there, and the Yasuo, Maokai, and then Xerath banned away for both SJSU teams.
Yeah, I'm really surprised to see the Thresh ban coming out from San Jose State Blue. Just to clarify, San Jose State Blue is on the blue side of the map to make things nice and simple.
All right.
And San Jose State Gold is on the purple team. But that TFT Thresh being banned away during Season 1, he was probably one of the most hyped Thresh players that in the entire... He was able to land hooks that nobody would have thought possible, threading through minions. He was able to get dark passages over walls previously thought unimaginable, from the Dragon Pit all the way to the far side of the Tribush. He is such an incredible Thresh player, but that is being taken away. And the first pick being locked in for San Jose State Blue, it's a Lulu. So I'm really confused by what they're doing. They've obviously had at least, I think it's 6 months possibly to practice and continue playing with each other, but I am really looking forward to see what they're going to be pulling out now.
See, the thing that I'm actually a little bit frustrated with is the first pick of a Lulu into a Tristana pick on the other team. Like, you have to know what your opponent's picks are going to be before you walk into the match, and I don't really even think that it's necessarily a surprise to see Tristana here. That just signals an incredible amount of late game that the SJSU Gold team are going to be able to hit. So for SJSU Blue, it's going to be their job to either prevent them from getting there or significantly slow them down.
Yeah, I really love what San Jose State Blue just picked up. Quachitizer in the mid lane, taking Assassin Zed. He is very strong on Yasuo. He is very strong on those very high skill mid lane assassins. I think we saw him play Talon and even Riven once in the mid lane. So Zed, no surprise that he's got that under his belt. Zed's sole purpose when he gets to the late game, and I say sole as if it's the only thing, is going to be to try to shut down that hyper carry of Tristana, to try to keep that Baby Brandon completely occupied. Now, we've seen Baby Brandon on Lucian, who just has amazing positioning, and that is one of the most important things to have as a Tristana player. Seeing that Zed being locked in completely nullifies any sort of positional advantage you can find, because he just follows you around.
Yeah, exactly, and it's hard to get away from him when he Hold on a second. There we go. All right, had to get something straight. It's hard to not only to get away from him, but it's hard to deal with him towards the mid phase of the game when he's already got farmed up his first like big item and he starts to roam around the map. And so whoever you pick in that mid lane too has that gotta not only just keep from dying against him in lane, but also try to keep track of him as he roams around the map and tries to pick up those kills. And it's a great reaction. And you know, I talked about how with the Tristana pick on SJSU Gold, that was going to be something that they had to, you know, keep from getting to late game, but bring over a cog mod there for Shadow Bala or Shadow X Bala is a cog mod, and so that will give them a sort of a comparable amount of late game if they do want to take it there.
Yeah, and I really love the following pickups after Quachitizer's Zed. Alistar and Nunu, both very incredibly strong, I guess, bruisers. Nunu's purpose is going to be used as a blood boil, contest objectives, try to invade in the jungle, keep ward coverage on the rivers to keep an eye on the assassin Kha'Zix and the assassin Zed. Whereas Alistar, he is just going to become best friends with Tristana, if that is going to be a support Alistar. Anytime someone jumps in, he just drops down a knockup, just decides to knock them back away, keep Tristana alive at all costs. But the tricky part is keeping Tristana alive during the early and mid game, because she's not going to start scaling until she gets that 25-minute mark with the Infinity Edge Blade of the Ruined King sort of build.
Yeah, usually it's eye edge at some point, then you can build into, you know, your next two big items. Been seeing a lot of just like nothing but BF sword builds so you can get out those big crits. But you know, we'll see what she decides to go for. Sometimes you go static shiv first, and then just go for the wave clear to help sort of get yourself through to the late game. But we'll see exactly what the Tristana builds are, and it should be probably the Trinity Force Kog'Maw. It's probably the most common build that we see out of him, or maybe a Blade of the Ruined King first, depending on the order you want to get them in. But here are your teams locked in, your lineups for both San Jose State University squads. For the blue team, it is Rips running Lulu, and then it'll be a Kha'Zix in the jungle on Monkey DX. Not sure if that's the same Monkey D Luffy that I remember seeing last season, but either way, Monkey D is in the jungle. Quachitizer's mid on Zed. Shadow X Bala's in the AD carry role on his Kog'Maw, with a Nami being played by TFT.
On the other side, from San Jose Gold, we're going to be seeing Crux in the top lane with Ryze. In the jungle, Lok Tran as Nunu the Beast. In the mid lane, ArcZ Slash taking Syndra. And in the bottom, Baby Brandon and Till Days of Blue taking Tristana and Alistar, respectively.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, Till Days of Blue... No, I thought that guy was Blue Hole. I used to see that guy play a lot, but now that I recall, that was actually from a different school. So, yeah, Till Days of Blue... I'm excited to see the Alistar back in play. Alistar, not a champion you'd see get through the pick and ban phase. Used to be because of his top lane presence, but after they took away his ability to headbutt and auto attack, oh my gosh, I've never been so happy to never play against an Alistar that could do that again. So it's pretty much just a support these days, but a very good one to combo with Tristana.
Yeah, and the fact that he can just run around and be a linebacker for his team, running disruption. Zed drops a death mark. Oh, it's a pity you can't do any damage because you're being knocked up and then knocked away. Kha'Zix leaps in while nice and stealth. That doesn't matter. He's still just going to trample on you anyways and then knock you back once his cooldown comes off again. Even if Lulu decides to try to go deep and try to land a Glitter Lance deep onto Tristana, who I'm certain is going to be in the back line, knowing how Baby Brandon likes to play his AD carries, there's almost nothing that Rips or Quachitizer or even Monkey can do to get to that Tristana. It's going to be all up to San Jose Blue to find proper positioning and catch San Jose Gold on the back foot. If they can prevent Till Days of Blue from covering Baby Brandon, there's not that much consistent damage from the rest of Gold's team.
Yeah, consistent damage is kind of to come out in two different phases. One, you got to think about it early game where you've got things like Zed, who does a ton of like burst damage as well as consistent. And then with the low cooldown of Kha'Zix's Taste Their Fear, he's going to be a big threat that you really need to get out of the way early. And speaking of early, Lulu as well with Glitter Lances, those picks and powered auto attacks, that's going to deal a lot. And then you talk about late game, and the AD carries both kick into gear with Kog'Maw and Tristana both just, oh my gosh, it's so scary to think about. So all phases of the game, there's going to be stuff going on. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I am absolutely thrilled to see these two teams go head to head. Kog'Maw and Tristana, I can even remember back during the end of Season 3 when it was all on the mid-game hyper carry. It was all about Lucian and Ezreal, and I think that was even early Season 3 when the mid-game hyper carry was the meta.
Yeah, mid-game hyper carries, you still see them every once in a while. These big assassins like, Fizz, like even been seeing a lot more Zed coming out. And I think Talon even made an appearance for EG today in their promotion matches. So sometimes you get the big mid lane hyper carries. You see AP Kog'Maw out there too, but they're just sort of switching around things to where you have more of a utility top laner. You've got, all the utility from Lulu, as well as Ryze able to start the fight with a see hero, kill hero kind of rune prism. But it'll be interesting to see the hyper carries now in the 80 carry role bring things into par as soon as it gets to late game.
Yeah, and it'll be really, really fun to see how that happens. Now, the most important thing that I'm going to be watching for is going to be those first 2 or 3 fights that I'm sure are going to happen either around the dragon, as everyone groups up to try to collapse on an objective, or during an invade. Knowing San Jose State's tendency to like to push objectives and play hyper aggressive styles, I doubt we're going to see a 10-minute laning phase. Heck, I doubt we're even going to see an 8-minute laning phase. If memory serves me, these guys love to go for the aggressive dives and just trying to shove early objectives and even going for 2v1s in the top lane with some lane swaps. But we are now loading into the Rift. Got any final words before we find ourselves on Runeterra?
Coming into this match, it's 2 SJSU teams, and while you did get a chance to see them both last season, I think SJSU Gold is still a little bit favored here in the matchup, but once again, it was their B team, SJSU Blue here tonight, that got them all the way to the grand finals, or all the way to the playoffs. More specifically last year. So both incredibly skilled. I just can't wait to see these guys play. And it's only the first week of NLCS.
Yeah, if this isn't a hype match, then I have no idea what is. And I have loaded onto the Rift. I don't know if you guys have, but I think if we just wait a minute or so, we'll reconnect to the match and it should be just fine. That's what happened earlier today, and I really have my fingers crossed.
Well, I'm actually still waiting to connect, so hopefully everybody else is in that same bucket. Maybe you're just a little bit ahead of the game, Caster Seda. Well, maybe it is because your Casta Seda drives are linked together in like some raid configuration.
Yeah, they're running just a little bit faster. I got to slow down my hard drive, my Seda-ing, my casting. But I don't know. El Castito Rapito. We really got to... So I know that you speak very fast. I know that when I get excited, I speak very fast. I think that if we actually slowed down and spoke at a proper speed this game, then it might work better.
We'll see. Things that are also working better are, well, supposedly the game. I've actually loaded in and it's paused. So hopefully that's not just, the client having issues, but apparently it is Crux rather. Crux is having some of the issues, and so we'll be waiting for him to finish connecting to the game.
Yeah, I think it was that I was speaking slowly, which is why it worked.
Yes. Thank you for saying that you were speaking slowly and not that you were speaking slow. Adverbs are a very important part of the North American language, and
yes.
Notice I say North American language. We call it English, but I think it's pretty unique to North America.
It pretty much is, yeah.
All right, and keep in mind, if you guys are new and are just now joining us, this does give us a little bit of an opportunity to introduce the teams for everybody watching, at least hopefully, given the idea that, they're all actually going to be here eventually. Summoner's reconnected. All right, so they're going to get into everything. We are going to get into tonight's game. It is a best of one between 2 teams from San Jose State University. It's their blue team, well, on the blue side, and that is Rips, Monkey DX, the Concertizer, Shadow, X Bala, and TFT. They'll be taking on their very storied roster in SJSU Gold on the red side of the map, and they are Baby Brandon, Locktran, Crux, ArcZ/, and Till Days of Blue.
And we do have quick item pickup. Seems like pretty standard stuff coming out across the map. We've got standard warding totems, Dorans across the board, Sapphire Crystal on that rise, so nothing particularly wacky jumping out. Quachitizer, he's opening up with a long sword and an exhaust. Looks like he's not going to be going for that pure burst Zed that we've all come to know and love. Looks like he's going to be going for a little bit more sort of sustained team fight style.
Yeah, and it's what's interesting to see about that is that he's building Blade of the Ruined King first. Now, there's a few Zed builds, and this is why you see a lot more long swords instead of like Doran's blades or excuse me, Doran's shields, is because with that longsword, it gives you that the diversity to say, hey, this is a rougher matchup. I need more sustain and go lifesteal into Blade of the Ruined King. Or, hey, I got a stupidly huge advantage. Let's just kill this guy and pick up the Brutalizer first.
It will certainly be interesting to see how effective this is, because it looks like he's going for that Blade of the Ruined King sustain style. Now, knowing how Quachitizer likes to play his Zed with that hyper-aggressive style, I'm pretty surprised to see him go up against Arc Z Slash with that sustain Vamp Scepter into Blade of the Ruined King to deal with that. I would expect him to try to be a little bit more aggressive, but he's not taking that. Do you have any idea why he might be trying to play defensively like this?
Who are you talking about? The
Quachitizer with Zed,
yeah,
because he's
Zed.
opening up with a sustain style.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's going to take a ton of poke damage from Syndra. Like, Syndra is such a big bully in lane, especially versus a melee matchup. You actually notice Crux blowing his teleport level 1 because he actually went through for that deep red buff invade, which isn't really a surprise for Nunus. They love to go for invades. He'll get at least 2 buffs, depending on whether or not Monkey DX expects to be counter jungled.
The fun thing, though, was that invade wasn't spotted by anyone from San Jose Blue. That means that teleport isn't going to be, they don't know that teleport's going to be on cooldown. Yeah, there's about a 3-minute window, but if Rips pushes him back, he might be able to take an early advantage just by being over-aggressive. But there we go. We do have Loctran showing himself with red buff in the mid lane. So I believe that Monkey should know that that's happening, but instead he's just going to continue clearing through the rest of his jungle.
Yeah, but 2 things to notice. The reaction from Loctran actually isn't the best one. When you go from red buff to red buff, you actually lose about half the duration of your red buff. So you're getting like 1.5 buffs. If you want to talk about the duration, of course, you're actually getting 2 as far as experience is concerned. But that will sort of lower the duration of his red buff, because Loctran actually expected Monkey DX to actually go for the red buff counter jungle. But was not rewarded. So he'll still get 3 buffs, and that's great for Nunu. But just gotta keep an eye on the lanes here. A lot of aggression down bottom.
Yeah, looks like we're seeing Baby Brandon and Shadow Bala just go head-to-head, trying to dominate who is the better early game hyper carry. And right now it's dead even at 13-13, and my game is actually locked up a little bit. We should be reconnecting in just a minute, and there it goes.
Hey, there you go. See, this is something that didn't happen yesterday, so at least things are moving in a generally positive direction. Although we do have to keep an eye on the bottom lane to make sure things keep moving in a positive direction for both these teams, because it does look like Gold might be putting on a little bit of this pressure. May get punished once Nunu comes down.
Yeah, Shadow Bala, he's being really aggressive with that early Kog'Maw, keeping Tristana stuck under that turret early on. I like how he's doing that, because as Tristana, your early base AD ratios are actually rather low, so it can be difficult to farm under turret without the assistance of your support. But what that does mean is that Shadow Bala is very vulnerable to an invade, and you spoke to it exactly. Looks like he's being jumped upon now.
Yeah, Days of Blue actually went in onto Shadow Bala, got the nice combo down, but a perfect bubble on Baby Brent and really kept a lot of that damage coming back in. And it's still beneficial for SJSU Gold, but gotta keep an eye onto that bottom lane. TFT has really been hitting those bubbles when it counts.
Yeah, he's got one of those bubbler machines at home, and he just leaves it on whenever he plays Nami, just to channel his inner... what is a bubble made of exactly? It could be made of like soap or water?
Well, I guess theoretically you can't have just pure H2O, because it's the impurities that give it like the surface tension. I don't know if somebody was trolling me with Bill Nye knowledge there or what was going on, but either way, I'm just gonna assume there's water involved. Feel generally confident the bubbles involve that. So Nami makes a little bit of sense here. TFT still playing very aggressive, but needs a Trinket Ward in that bush to punish Days of Blue for exerting so much pressure, allowing Baby Brandon to push this lane all the way back in.
Yeah, and now the tides have switched. Baby Brandon is trying to bully Shadow Bala out of position. Right now, TFT has got that early ebb and flow. Looks like he is actually maxing that first, so he's not going to be going for any sort of bubble max for maximum cooldown and getting tons and tons of stuns off. He's not going for the aquatic empowerment to get additional damage with Kog'Maw's auto attacks. He's going for sustain, so he expects to have to try to bully with Baby Brandon and Days of Blue quite a bit, and that's exactly what we're seeing, as Till Days of Blue is just exerting his presence in the lane over that very weak early game Nami.
Keep in mind, oh man, you just have to keep your eyes glued to this bottom lane. But in the jungle, though, we got an engaged double stun from Argsy/. Keeps Locktran alive. That guy was below 100 HP, but got out thanks to Blood Boil and that 2-man scatter.
Yeah, that was down to 80 health. Absolutely the closest it could have been. A single auto attack from Quachitizer would have killed him because of that Zed passive, but you mentioned it exactly. The scatter the weak slow. Argsy/.
Oh my gosh. All right, off of that stun, SJSU Blue, we're going away without a kill. Monkey DX comes right in the mid lane, picks up that first kill. Flash in, no, one more auto attack on the Crux, he gets it! It's the top lane kill for Rips, and out of nowhere, after 6.5 minutes, SJSU Blue explodes with 2 kills.
And that's exactly what I was talking about. SJSU are not the type of teams that just sit and play standard laning phases. They bully, they harass, they go for invades, and already we're seeing that work out for SJSU Blue. You've got a CS lead in the top lane, you've got a kill lead in the mid lane, and you've got a CS lead in the bottom lane. Blue is looking really dominant for this first stage of the match.
Yeah, but with these AD carries, keep in mind, it's not really going to be the early game that decides this match. I mean, it certainly can be once you get onto like the 11 and 12 minute mark and big dragon fights start to happen. I mean, if you win those hard enough, then yeah, the game can be decided early. But with these AD carries, neither one of them really getting a big advantage. We're going to start to see things get really hyphy in here. Days of Blue does have his flash available, can go in for that, but Nunu just come back on off for now.
Yeah, Argsy/ was even coming down for a roam, and an early pink means that the red buff is protected, and with the 4-man collapse, I don't think that this is something that Argsy/ and Locktran want to try going for. They're pulling the red buff away, but Monkey is there. We've got double teleport, no, single teleport available for Rip, so this could turn into a 5v4 real quick. Stun finds Monkey.
Yeah, but the smite's gonna come down, and I believe that is actually stolen away there. Argsy/ though in the back, got the death mark on him, turns it right back around, and it's the ultimate. Zed's dead. Now flashing back out there. Locktran's pretty low there. Just a little bit more damage. He'll go down, but he makes his way to the back of the team fight and gets it alive. A big triple stun, a double bubble, a triple knock up there from Days of Blue. And it's an incredible turnaround for SJSU Gold. Trying to get in on the Shadow X Bala, but he's made his way back to the lane. And such a huge turnaround. Big stuns and knockups, and SJSU Gold walk out with a win.
Yeah, really, really powerful play from SJSU Gold. They said that you take 2 kills, well, we'll take 2 kills as well, and we might just collapse onto the dragon with that in our pockets. Locktran got low. He was able to get the steal, but with a great absolute zero, he managed to get a good enough amount of AoE damage. Zed leapt over the wall to try to assassinate Argsy/, but Exhaust denied his damage. Monkey D is looking for the assassinate on dragon. He's not going to go for it. And just like that, Gold, after winning an excellent fight at the red buff, they take the dragon and the gold lead, but here's Zed. Quachitizer looking for some sort of pick, but he's just not going to find it. Rapid?
All right, apparently we had a brief disconnect there, but we're back, and all right, so we're watching top lane. Crux is kind of out trading Rips at this point, but I think as far as mana, and especially Crux fought that in a cannon minion creep wave, so he's definitely going to lose out there. Oh, a nice glitter lance off of the help picks on a minion. That's pretty slick. Rips is, he knows what he's doing up there.
I think Rips actually tried to teleport down to that red buff fight and make it a 5v4, but then Crux got a rune prison denying him.
Let's see, that teleport has been used about 2.5 minutes ago. So yeah, that might have actually been the timing, especially since if you look at Crux, he actually was the one to TP to lane, I believe it was, and didn't have his teleport up to go down to that fight. So might have been a big turnaround if they were able to get the extra member there. But speaking of extra, he's Blue. He's all the way up top lane, so for the time being, it's a 2v1 with Baby Brandon getting hit up by a bubble, but there's no follow-up from Kog'Maw.
Yeah, Shadow Bala a little bit too far back. I think he's overvaluing the damage that minion wave can do. It is about 10 minutes into the game with that Nami's ebb and flow for extra regeneration. He could have gotten a little bit more aggressive there, but as it stands, Baby Brandon sitting comfortably with 2 assists and 1 CS ahead. That puts him at a completed BF sword to only the Phage and Dagger from Shadow X Bala. So it looks like it is going to be a Trinity Force first against that, I guess, BF sword build from Tristana, exactly as you predicted.
All All right, yeah, BF sword first. It's a big power spike, but Dope actually behind the turret. It's a 4-man dive on a Conchitizer. Deathmark's down, but it's just not enough. You can't take down the Alistar, but you can't stop him in his tracks by having the servers mess up on here. But we should be getting into the game here in about a minute to see the exciting conclusion, because at least for the time being, it looks like TFT is in a little bit of a rough spot, but judging from him just walking in there, I'm guessing that's not what actually happened.
Yeah, something tells me that was just the last signal that we received, and oh, looks like a bug. Means I'm gonna have to reconnect at the very least.
Save here. You are not alone, Caster Seda. We're all in this together, so we'll be trying to get back into the game as quickly as possible. Right back into
So, San Jose State Blue, they had a pretty decent laning phase. They were able to take a quick 2 kills and secure some additional damage onto their turrets, and Lulu was also able to take a kill with Rips in that top lane. But San Jose Gold immediately turned it around with a quick red invade into a team fight that allowed them to take the dragon. What can San Jose Blue to make up for this 1,000 gold deficit that they're at now?
Well, that's basically just because of those big plays that happened around the red buff. We had those big stuns, knockups, and a big team play. That's really the strategy, and you'll find that most teams do this. They'll say, hey, you know, our team, our composition, it's based around one big thing. And, well, for SJSU Gold, their thing is team fighting. They wanted to pick that fight as early as humanly possible. So they knew, because of the red buff steal timing, exactly when it was coming back up. So they're like, hey, we need to be here at this time. And speaking of being somewhere at the right time, currently it looks like even though the spectator client, the server, is having some issues, Rips may possibly be in a little bit of trouble.
Just to check, what time are you at in the game?
I'm at 11:45, but it is standing perfectly still.
Oh, I am at only 11:20. So
my.
perhaps when I catch up to you, it'll magically work again. But yeah, you're exactly right. Lulu way too far forward without a paddle. He's gonna have to find a way out of this creek.
All right. Well, yeah, I am still sitting at around the 12-minute mark. I'll try to bust things backwards and see if I can catch up to everybody. But if it's still working for you, then I guess that's good news.
Yeah, I also froze at about 11:40. I believe our spectator client did as well.
Intriguing tale, compatriot.
Indeed.
I'm going to reload this little guy and see if I can get it back to where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I really hope that we reconnect, because this is an awesome, awesome game. San Jose Blue are putting up a valiant defense, and whoa, a lot of action going on. I just caught back up at 12 minutes and 18, now 19 seconds. It's 3-4, still in favor of San Jose Gold. But a turret has been taken for San Jose Blue, though Gold responded with another 2 turrets of their own.
All right, so big changes as far as the last time we were in the game. 1 kill apiece, 1 turret apiece, and even though there are spectator issues abounding, well, hopefully we'll be able to struggle through them. I am reloading back in, and so I'm actually here, but looks like we may be having some issues. Are you currently in the game, Dom?
I was, and then I was disconnected.
Aha! So it is I who am in the game, and you guys who are on the outside. So for the time being, we're gonna do a little bit of radio casting. I'm not gonna like individually voice the characters or anything like those old-time radio shows, but I'm gonna let you guys know it was a big push up the mid lane. Nothing too drastic happened, but I'm actually just now seeing the bottom turret go down. I'm at 12:30 right now, so
yeah, so I am exactly at that moment as well. I think our spectators should be getting back to that in just a minute, but yeah, this is some really fantastic stuff so far. Oh, looks like a gank is coming down. 3-man collapse turning into a 4-man team
down
fight.
too. That Days of Blue positioning was great. Monkey DX actually jumped in a little bit ahead of his team. He's taking a lot of damage, gets blown apart there by Crux and Baby Brandon. Now Lockjan is trying to re-engage the flash in. He gets exhausted, but it's just about to slow there from the absolute zero, doing everything but its name. Now Crux still alive in the back, but he's taken down by the Acathian surprise from Shadow X Balls. I read that as an S instead of an A. It's actually Bala, but TFT gonna get headbutted. Flashes the pulverize, the stun still comes through. Days of Blue taking things up like a boss. Turns on his ultimate, he's not even gonna die there underneath the turret. It'll be the untimely demise of TFT. Arxie
That
Slash
was
going vicious.
incredibly well played by San Jose Gold, and I seem to be lagging out a little bit, but just to give a quick recap, there was a 3-man collapse trying to find Shadow Balla out of position, but there was a counter gank being set up by both TFT and Monkey D. Monkey leapt forward as a teleport came down from Rips, but Shadow X Balla, the majority of the damage for that fight, was not able to get in range of either Till Blue, Crux, or even Arxie Slash, and because of that, he wasn't able to damage anyone over the duration of that entire fight. And whoa, Rips picking up a kill for free there.
Wait, I'm not sure what's happening. Okay, well, it appears as if there was a Lulu turnaround kill that took out Days of Blue. However, he only has 14 seconds left on his death timer, so I'm not sure if that is completely accurate. You know, we'll try to sync back up here in just a second, but still trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, hopefully the server puts us back through. But that was just an incredible fight. And the reaction from San Jose Gold to say, okay, we're going to go for a gank. Oh no, we're being counter-ganked. We should counter-gank, which basically is the equivalent of one gank.
Yeah, you're continuing to see these big team fights work out in favor of San Jose State University Gold, because if you look at their team composition, every single member of the team has a form of hard CC, with the exception of Lock Tran, but he has like incredibly strong soft CC in the form of really huge slows from his ult and Ice Blast. Something's happening at the Wraith camp, I don't know, so, I mean, the Wraith is
Look at how
auto
furious
attack.
that Wraith is, man.
Man.
He is like, ooh.
He's like even stronger than these champions, because while they're just like standing there not able to do anything, he's still able to auto attack. Man, that single Wraith could win the game.
Absolutely. Penta Wraith.
Well, and Wraiths don't actually have a side. It used to be like back in the beta, or the jungle camps would spawn as part of the team that they were on. Monsters, so you could kill them, but there were a couple of like really weird bugs that happened because of that. You know, everything's been remade since then, but this Wraith could kill every single member of both teams that's in range. Like, he could just, you know, take names. But something tells me that we should be seeing exactly who kills the Wraith as soon as we load back into the game.
Not gonna lie, Mike. Whoa! Looks like that back up.
Well, you know, for a second there, we got like an explosion of details, but now it's the Golem that's gonna kill Monkey D!
Jungle Camp, it's the revenge of Summoner's Rift. Because Summoner's Rift is getting updated, the monster, the neutral creeps, are having revenge on the rest of the champions.
Alright, well, I am reloading in because it does appear as if things are taking a turn for the worse. I made the Oregon Trail analogy that every time things took a turn for the worse, all you needed was like laudanum or something. It was like, you had dysentery, you had cholera, it's like, nope, doesn't even matter. Laudanum. That was like, Oregon Trail 2, man, that was my jam back in the day. But
the only thing that I recognize laudanum from is Amnesia. That was the health potion.
Oh, that's true. I remember that.
Oh
I wish
my god,
I didn't
that game's
remember
terrifying.
it. Yeah. I wish I did not remember it, but I actually relogged into the game and everything's fine for me, so hopefully everybody else gets back there.
Oh, yeah, I'm back in as well at 14:54, 55, and now I'm broken again. Look at that cannon minion.
Okay, well, it lagged back out again for me, so...
Oh,
no, we're back. All right, Monkey D's scared me there a second. Needs one more auto attack, but Days of Blue can't quite get in there. TFT is going to take a lot of damage, but oh, that bounce actually going to set up for Baby Brandon to get a kill. But he's not going to overcommit and jump in trying to chase out Shadow X Balla. He's just back back out, going with the Balla himself, or herself rather, in Syndra. He's going to drag that blue buff.
LCS big plays, Baron, or not Baron, blue buff.
Yeah, Blue Buff's been doing a lot of plays. He was in an epic duel there for a second. Now he's like being flung around the map. Well, nothing's really happening currently. Just kind of chilling out there.
Okay, let's try to cover the status of the game right now. It's about a 3,500 gold lead in favor of San Jose Gold. They're up 1 turret and 4 kills and a single dragon, though the second has now just respawned. Every single team fight we've seen, San Jose State Gold has taken an advantage, except for that very first skirmish with Arxie Slash against Quachitizer with Monkey and Lock Tran. What can San Jose Blue do to start turning this around? They're slowly ceding map control. If you take a look at the vision on the map, they're slowly slipping further and further behind in gold. It seems as though they're on a just terrifically slippery slope. Wow, that's a tongue twister.
Yeah, well, the problem for SJSU Blue is that they really don't have enough ability to tank through this double AP composition, and it's not just like AP burst casters who use all their skills and then they're done, but it's the ability to take all the sustained magic damage, and it does appear as if they were unable to do that because the ironic thing is that while we may have been at about 15 minutes into the game, apparently the spectator server itself was substantially farther ahead. And due to the spectator bug, it kicked us out of the game and revealed to us that unfortunately, the game had already ended, and so we were unable to reload into that game. And I'm not sure if we can show you the lobby on screen, but I'll just summarize some of the scores from the triumphant win of SJSU Gold, who took down this game versus SJSU Blue 24-10. It was a dominant performance from both the mid and top lanes, that double AP comp I was talking about, an 8-3 score for Crux and an 8-1-8 score for Arcs the Slashes Syndra. Of course, honorable mention to the rest of the team. Baby Brandon's Tristana at 6-1-13. Had to give those assists to get the kills on everybody else. Days of Blues Alistar was 0-3-19. And Crux, of course, or Vloktran in the jungle on 2-2-19. But universally high assist scores on Lockjan, Baby Brandon, and Days of Blue, just because of how much team fighting and team play there was there. Great win by SJSU Gold.
Yeah, really, really fantastic stuff. And speaking of gold, San Jose State Gold finished the game with 43,000 gold under their belts at 22 minutes in. Compare that to the 30,000 from San Jose Blue, and that should help illuminate a little better the difference in between these two teams and how convincingly San Jose Gold was able to take that win. Not to say that San Jose Blue played poorly. They were just, they were simply defeated. It happens from time to time. And overall, it was a fantastic match, and I was really thrilled to see these guys go head-to-head. San Jose Blue really put up a fantastic fight.
Yeah, and you can see the match history actually linked there in chat. It should give you an idea of exactly how close this game was for quite a while. It was really only about the 16-minute mark where things really did take a turn for the worst. You had big things like a couple of big team fights that led to turrets, inhibitors, nexuses, and well, there was only one nexus that went down, and it was San Jose State University Blues. So congratulations to SJSU Gold. They'll walk away the winners in tonight's match and actually retain their spot at the top of the NCSPA standings. And in case you guys want to take a chance or take the opportunity to check out the standings, the brackets, and everything involved with NCSPA or NLCS this season, head over to NCESPA. That's NCSPA.com. There you can find information on both the League of Legends and CSGO collegiate tournaments that are being run by NCSPA this season. There's a lot of great collegiate esports over there. $5,000 on the line for League and a $1,000 CSGO tournament. It's awesome to see collegiate esports getting better than ever.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. This has been the National League of Legends Collegiate Series Season 2 Fall Season. I have been joined by Rapid Casting. I am Caster Seda. And again, thank you so much for watching. And be sure to tune in tomorrow to see Georgia Tech take on Boston University at 9 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be 6 p.m. Pacific. And then afterwards, we're going to see OSU take on CPSLO. I have no idea what that stands for. At 9 p.m. Pacific and 12 p.m. Eastern. But thank you so much for watching, and be sure to tune in tomorrow for more exciting games.